If you guys have been following me on Instagram, you have been watching me share the partials and the profits that I have been taking on my XRP USD trade for the last couple of weeks. It has finally hit TP at that $2 mark, and I want to share with you guys exactly how did I take this trade and what was the thought process behind all of this. So the very first thing that I want to touch on is more on the market sentiment, the fundamental side. So a lot of the decision making came from the fact that this was right before the US presidential election results were announced. And during that time, President Donald Trump was leading the polls, and he has been quite supportive and encouraging of the cryptocurrency space. We started to see a little bit of boost happening there as we got closer to the elections and he was leading the polls. And also from a technical perspective, I started looking at the key areas that price has been hanging out in for a very long time. So as you can see, since mid 2023, we have been hanging around this zone right around here of consolidation of support. We tried to break below this just a little bit, but they came right back up. And then all of 2024, we've kind of just been hanging around here. From a technical perspective, we waited for a little bit of a bottom wick, and then I have this little zone created here, which is at support. So if I just extend that over to the left, you can see how all of this is that consolidation resistance, that little support form right here. And the thought process was that if the market sentiment was strong enough and we can push past the previous week's top wick rejection, then we have a potential buy opportunity to the upside. So as that happened, I dropped down to the lower time frames and I waited for proper support to be formed here prior to an entry. So we had this bearish candle push back down and reject those sellers. The next candle, barely any bullish body closures here. We ended up closing like a bullish doji, and that was not convincing enough for me to take a trade just yet. So I waited for an actual support to be formed with this bullish candle close. We're still in that consolidation area. I still want to be a little bit more careful and wait until price can break the previous weekly highs. And so this new daily candle, no bottom wick, that tells me that we have insanely bullish momentum because we did not even try to test go bearish just yet, right? And so we pushed back up, and as we started to clear above that area, I dropped down to even lower time frames to make sure that we can get candle closures outside of that area. On that 4-hour time frame, we got a little bit of a top wick rejection right around here, and then this bullish candle to the upside with no bottom wick whatsoever, clearing these previous highs. Dropped down to the 1-hour time frame, which is where that entry was taken. So I waited for that candle to close above that zone and completely clear out of that. The next one gave us a little bit of a bottom wick and push above that area. This is where that entry was taken. Now stop loss was based off of the daily time frame. Because the entry's daily candle did not have a bottom wick, I used the previous 2 daily candles as a reference and placed my stop loss right below that, and then continued to the upside. So initially the TP area was set at $1, and that was using the previous massive top wick rejections that we have been seeing on some of these higher time frames. So as we zoom out a bit more, this top wick right here came close to around 94, 95 cents. And so I just placed it at a $1 flat psychological level. And then as price continued and we started tapping into that 80 cent and 90 cent levels, that's when I really started to extend out my TP to $2, but at $1, I ended up taking partials. And anytime that price really made any higher highs and higher lows, especially on the 1-hour and 4-hour time frames, that's really when I start to take some partials. And that's what you guys have been following me along with on Instagram, where I was sharing these results. So then as price continued, we started hanging around between that $1 and $2 range for quite some time. And then earlier this week, when the markets opened up, we finally broke past that $2 mark, and that's when the trade hit TP. So I started off with a 13-to-1 risk to reward and it ended up turning into a 41-to-1 risk to reward trade. And finally, as price starts clearing past these areas, we start to see that massive bullish momentum to the upside, especially as the market starts pricing in more of the fundamentals from the weekend. That 1.5 was also another strong level based off the weekly and daily time frames. We kind of hang around that area, as you can see, another area where I took some partials. But finally, when we break past that, we have enough volume to just continue pushing past this. And currently, as you can see, we're sitting at that 2.7 mark here. So that was my XRP USD trade. And I hope to keep sharing a lot of these trades with you guys on Instagram and also here on YouTube.